Hey, what's up YouTube, Skybadger here, and we are back with a bit of a different video. So today's not going to be day related, although I will say that in the game at the moment it is day 36. I'm not going to release this video in order, so this will probably show up at the end of the series. So for those of you that have watched the Let's Play, you'll know that around day 36, France and I have a little bit of a communication issue. Egypt kind of turns us against each other, and although we repair the situation, it really puts into question my plan on how I would fight a battle if France and Egypt were to attack me. And while I don't see it as likely, I believe that the troops that France is grouping in these areas here, he will simply group them here, then send them away. So at least that's what I hope he's doing. He could easily backstab me. But basically, how the battle would go is it would largely be France's win. So by that I mean a lot of this territory in here is unprotected because I'm guarding our borders down here, and that's okay. You see, a lot of these areas down here are damaged from previous combat, and the infrastructure and buildings here are pretty low level. France would gain very little from capturing stuff in this region. He might get away with one or two industrial plants, but most of his gains would come up here. He'd gain quite a few industrial plants and resources. But another issue for France at the moment is food. So I know that his food economy is not the best. He only has 2 food producing provinces, well, core provinces. So when he goes along and he damages all of the infrastructure I put in place, he's going to have a massive problem producing troops. And so will I. So this is where the next part of the plan comes in. In an event me and France are going to, well, end up fighting each other, I am going to pull troops back from this border here, because it will be likely that Egypt will join in. I'll retreat them all the way back. I'll man these forts, man here, capture here, and then hold out this peninsula. This here will make sure that I have enough oil to sustain armor in aircraft, because oil is England's weakness. I have plenty of iron, I have plenty of food, I have plenty of goods backed up, plenty of manpower backed up, but I need oil to sustain my forces. So holding on to these 3 provinces, well, these 2 provinces here, capturing that one, and maybe even grabbing Constantine and holding on to that would provide a massive boost. And these troops back here as well would likely do the same. I'm not going to be able to defend a front against Egypt and France, so I'd immediately pull all of these troops back to the other side. And I also have been, in case this ever happens, I've been building industrial sites up in the area. So I'd have, 7 anti-tanks, 6 artillery, 8 anti-aircraft, 11 infantry, 5 commandos, 1 light tank. And to back them up, I also had the only industrial plants in the region. So that's the good thing about that. So I'd fall back to there and I'd be good. Now in other regions, like down here, there is not much point fighting for this. Like I said before, if you were to attack, although I am building industry down here, it's under the assumption that we are in a good relationship and that neither of us are going to backstab each other anytime soon. So losing these would not be much of a loss. I'd merely retreat my troops back to the naval group in the area before they travel all the way back round to England. I'm not going to put up a fight there. Spain, I'm not going to put up a fight. I can afford to lose all of this here. Now, while it would be incredibly hard, it would be an incredible advantage if I was to hold on to this territory here. But like with the other regions, I believe that without having troops there at the start of the battle, it would be a very hard task. So in the future, if things do go south, I would like to start building up my fort wall down here and build a fort into Cologne and then into Antwerp. And although Brussels, or however you pronounce that, will be on the outside, I might make an exception and build forts there as well. And then hopefully I'd be able to cover this region here. So basically what happened is I'd lose all of this and I have fortified positions in here. I could send my navy down into here. And if we have a look at, if we just go like this and we go add target, so it doesn't go off course at all for a bit, and we get all the way up here, just by positioning it, that naval group in there, that can cover a lot of ground. And that is a lot of suppressive artillery right there. I'd be able to probably even capture Bruegel and put up another fort there, and then it would make the fort wall a lot more effective. So that's where the Navy comes in. For those of you that have been paying attention to updates as well, you'll be aware that navies and naval units also have damage upgrade to their use against troops. So if we close the ad quickly, and we close that because I don't want to put that ship off course. So if we go back into research and we have a look at ships. Now, ships now have a lot better damage against troops. One of my naval groups consists of 3 battleships, and those alone will be able to throw out 24 damage per hour. And then once they get in range of the cruisers, they'll be able to throw out even more. So 5 times 3 is 15, so that's 17.5. I'll be throwing out damage and be able to easily defend at least these territories in here. And all I really want to defend is the oil, and that's about it. Holding the other provinces is nice, and it'll provide a good food bonus, as well as some iron, but as long as I can hold on to oil, I'm happy. So at this point, immediately after they attack, I retreat. I retreat back to here, reinforce up here, unless, of course, I've got an obvious advantage, in which case I might push, and depending on where the troops are. So I retreat back to here, and if I have the ability to defend this region up here, and withdraw my navy back to home, and bring the troops from North Africa back. And I've also been preparing for a backstabbing scenario, or a case where even if the Americans tune up again, they land, or Greater Finland backstabs us, I've been building up a lot of forts and infrastructure in our core. I've been building extra industrial plants to defend. And this is where our biggest advantage over France is. And France is the only player in the game right now capable of taking me out. And France's weakness is his lack of industrial centers. So straight off the bat, we go to war. I'm like, shit. I'm going to immediately start pumping troops, because numbers will win because of this. If we count how many industrial centers France has, in his core he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He has 9 up here in Europe. He has none down there in Spain. He has a 10th one here. And up here, I don't think he actually has any. Okay, so he has 1. So he has 11 industrial centers in total. Now, if we have a look at myself, in terms of industrial centers, we have a massive example. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and soon we'll have 27. So that is double the production power that France has. So immediately off the bat, I'd start producing troops and gearing up for a counterattack. Now immediately I'd bring all these troops from up here down to defend down here. I'd drop the subwall up around here, and I'd obviously bring all of these back as well and use them in here. And this would stop France's ability to send troops across. And this is where the tide turns. If France can't get to here, or does not have a powerful enough navy, he's never going to break me. He can launch rockets day after day, but so can I. I have a good production of rare material in my core. As we can see, I have 2 natural rare producing sites, and that is a lot more than France does, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay, he has the same, but at the end of the day, I can launch rockets back. And because of the fact I have aircraft carriers, he not only has to destroy my runways, but he has to destroy the carriers to stop my ability to maneuver aircraft. And because of the fact I have aircraft carriers, I can penetrate way deeper into his regions to kill troops that are grouping up and to hunt targets down. So those are a few of the advantages I have against France, and that is what I do in the first days of a backstabbing. And this is where the counterattack comes in. My navy has been pulled back, my troops from North America are now all back, and I have a naval advantage and I need to use it then and there. Because if I give France time, he will eventually pick up way superior production power than me, and he will become way superior. So this is where I act, and this is assuming I do not have the help of Sweden and Greater Finland and that they stay neutral, although ultimately I could deal with their navies as well. And they'd probably actually side with me. So immediately, once I've retreated back, I would send my navy to bombard regions like this and escort convoys across. And I'd capture here, and I'd also go back into here. And basically, that would allow me to get a foothold, and then using, hopefully, air superiority, I destroy France's air force, and then dwindle his troops down from there using artillery. If he comes anywhere near the coast, which he will not be able to do, he will immediately be hit by my battleships. And that will cost him a lot of troops, for the fact he doesn't have his own navy. And this is where the most important part is. 9 of France's industrial sites are here, all in this region. All I have to do is take them out and capture them, destroy them. Even if I capture them, he pushes them in, takes them back. They're damaged, and they will destroy slowly his ability to produce resources. And he also has a problem with food, only having 2 food core provinces. So if I was to capture Brest and hold that, it would put him at a massive disadvantage, and it would slowly dwindle him down. Like, if we have a look at my food production at the moment, this food province here produces 5,400, and that is nearly a sixth of my food production. Well, it is more than a sixth of my food production. And if I was able to capture both of these for him, that would be a massive blow to his economy. I'd nearly take away half of his food, and that would probably kill him in the long term. But the main goal would be to destroy the industrial areas, because there is not many at all in the other regions. And considering in my core alone I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a 10th being constructed, my production power would outweigh his, and as long as I could have naval superiority, I could pour troops over faster than he could reinforce them. And then that's where breaking France in here would go. Now, that wouldn't be the end of it. I'd assume that Egypt would back him up. Now, if Egypt were to back him up, this is where we have real problems, because I can't get to his core and I can't damage him. He would likely consume all the territory here and here, and my allies would probably struggle to keep him back. Although, to be honest, I have to admit, these guys have a great position that they could easily defend if they had to. All they'd have to do is put troops here, 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 and a few naval units in there, and they could never be got. And they'd put up a massive fight. But once Egypt gets over, if I haven't broken France, then I'm out for the count. Because Egypt has the ability to produce units down here way more frequently and in numerous more numbers than I do. And considering I wouldn't have a navy down here to sink convoys crossing, I would be at a disadvantage. So although I have a few subs, that's not going to do much in the long term. So I need to build up the navy down here to ever stop that if it does happen. So, you know, building forts will provide a massive boost, but eventually this would fall as they bring in rockets, and my air force slowly got dwindled down in the area. So that is what I do in the situation of a backstabbing, and that is how I'd cope with the situation. Now, I hope it doesn't happen. I'm still unsure with where France is grouping these troops for. I'm pretty, like, he's told me he's grouping them to send them into America, but I don't know. I mean, I still trust him at this point. So that is what I do if things were to go bad. Thank you for watching.